All right, so I got my buddy Erik Malka here. Erik founded Art of Shaving, the Art of Shaving, actually. I got to make sure we put the in there. I know you're all about branding.
Very good.
Um, Erik started the Art of Shaving with his wife many years ago, had a successful exit, and then has been a serial entrepreneur ever since, and has been helping a lot of young entrepreneurs invest in their businesses and give them strategic guidance. And I don't know if you're ready to announce it here, but I won't mention any names or anything, but I know you've got some new stuff that you're working on with Miriam in the skincare space. So you're still working hard, my friend. And I respect and admire you for that, for continuing to just make things happen.
Well, thank you. That's a very nice intro. I
Yeah.
couldn't have done it better myself.
Oh, you could have. Stop it. Hey, so you and I've known each other for a while, and one of the things I really respect about you is you've always got a smile on your face, and you think about things differently. And I mean, you have won a lot in business, but you've also been through a lot of adversity in 20 plus years. You've lived through a lot of these crises. Um, a lot of these entrepreneurs and business leaders, they're just stuck, man. Like, they don't know what to do. They've been winning their whole life, and this may be the first time they've experienced any adversity.
Yeah.
And so I know, I mean, at least for me, the first time I experienced adversity, I was in denial. I didn't want to tell people I failed at something. You know, that wasn't me, wasn't who I was. So I think there's a lot of those people out there. I mean, what advice would you give these entrepreneurs and business and community leaders where it's their first time that they're failing, probably through no fault of their own, to try to kind of work through it?
Well, I don't think they're failing. I think they're being thrown an extremely difficult challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what it's about, right? How do you handle adversity, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things that come to mind with your question. First, something I truly believe is mindset is everything. We spoke about mindset
Mm-hmm.
a couple of minutes ago. Mindset is everything. Unfortunately, entrepreneurs and successful businessmen are successful because they're optimists, and they're really not trained for, running a business during a crisis is a totally different mindset and skill set than running a startup, running a growing business, scaling a business. Those are very different mindsets. And I went through it in 08. I went through it in 2001. And I learned the hard way, right? So mindset is everything. And you have two camps. You have those that believe that what's happening now is more permanent. That's a negative mindset. And others that believe that this will pass and this will make you stronger. And those are the guys you're talking about, right?
Mm-hmm. We talk, hey Erik, we've talked a lot about this adversity being like the birthplace of good things, of creativity and ingenuity and innovation and all of that. Like, that's a choice when you
Look,
hit adversity. How do you get there?
well, first of all, you don't get, you train. Like anything in life, you need to train yourself, right? It's when the tide goes out that you see who's been swimming naked, who's not ready, who's exposed completely to the crisis, right? If your business is running on fumes, if you don't have good reserves, if you don't have a solid business model, great employees, things are going to be much harder for you, right? And mindset is everything. Means, how we develop a strong, for somebody, Siri keeps popping up. So I lost my train of thought, but.
Just about mindset, like how do you develop that kind of champion mindset?
So how do you develop a champion mindset?
Or do you just have it? I mean,
I think I think you can develop it. You definitely, it helps when you have it. It takes grit. You know, these are times when you find out what you're made of, right? It's not it's not during a walk in the park that you find out what you're truly made of deep down inside, right? It's during real adversity that you realize what's inside of you. And sometimes it surprises you to know that you have tenacity, that you have grit, that you have determination, that you have a strong mind. Um, so, so I think, you know, managing your mindset is important. Developing your mindset is important, even before the crisis. I took a course 6 years ago in Chicago, and during this crisis, I realized that the whole 4-day course was designed to make you go through a crisis like this. You know, it's easy to be in the stock market when things are going up 30%, and when you get a little 5% correction or 10% correction, but it's a whole different ballgame emotionally and in your mind. You know, your mind is an incredible, it's an incredible machine, right? And it can really turn against you. Fear, emotionality can really impair your ability to function at a high level, right? So for me, in the last 10 years since exiting my business, I've been on a journey to try to develop a very strong mindset that reduces emotionality in times like this. And emotionality has a place. It's very important in a crisis, right? So the way I like to define it is, a lot of people find themselves with a weak mind and a hard heart, and they become embittered or negative. I think the goal of every person should be to have an extremely strong mind and a very soft heart, you know, being vulnerable, yet being very, very strong is a great combination to go through these types of trying times.
We've talked about it on the show about vulnerability really being courage versus a weakness. Do you agree with that?
It's, of course, it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable. I mean, that's the big epiphany, right? When you realize that how much courage it takes to be vulnerable. I mean, that's when you start respecting vulnerability and start embracing it. Vulnerability is your best friend if you know how to use it, right? You can make anyone do anything if you become vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
It's the greatest tool on earth.
Another thing that's been discussed a lot is the power of choice, you know, choosing how you're going to think about something, choosing how you're going to feel about something, choosing what you do every day when you've got an abundance of time. What are you choosing to do right now, or what do you recommend people choose to do, since we do have so many choices?
Well, everybody's different. I think we're talking about responding instead of reacting. We're going back to mindset, right? When the mind is weak and the emotions take over, it's hard for us to make good decisions, and we become very reactive. I've been doing what I've been practicing for a long time. I've been shifting in my life. I don't know if it's age or, but I've been shifting in the last many years to be more mindful, to take care of my body, to help others, to understand what really matters in life, and really spend time doing things that make me happy. And I can tell you, I've made a list of 10 things that make me happy when I do that. And everything on that list I can do during the coronavirus confinement, which is, to me, this is why I've been somewhat enjoying this period, because it's been it fast forward, you know, where I would like to see society going, right? In a more sustainable global lifestyle, if you will. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's a lot of what I'm doing is, you know, again, I take care of my body, I take care of my health, I take care of my mind, I try to meditate, I work out, I run, spend time with my kids, spend time with my family, cook some good meals, work on my projects, help young entrepreneurs, coach them through whatever challenges they have if they want my help. Spend time, you know, we have what we call board meetings in Miami, which is quite unique. Some of my closest friends live less than 30-minute paddle boarding away. So we kind of hang out on our board. We meet up in the midpoint and we hang out on our boards. And we call it a board meeting.
I love that. You're the first person that's, I think I've, yeah, for sure. You're the first person that's had paddle board meetings that I've talked to.
So you do what you can, man. And you know, we're surrounded by water, and it reminds me every day to be like water, right? To be nimble, to be fluid, to go with the flow, to be powerful. That's what I try to practice.
Yeah, we had a flood recently in one of our locations. I mean, between tornadoes, floods, and viruses, right? Like, I feel like we've experienced it all. But ServPro, the company that came out, you know, we're trying to figure out where did this water come from, and you know, they explained to me exactly what you just said. Is like water will find a way. We don't even know how the water gets. Like, you can have a water in the second story or third story of a house on one side, on the right side of the house, and that water has traveled to the bottom floor on the left side of the house, and it finds a way, even if it appears there is no way. So I love that analogy for us to be flexible.
To be like water, man. To be like water. It's both gentle and powerful at the same. It can be whatever you want. And that leads me to what I truly believe is the future of mankind and the survival of mankind in our time is to be adaptative. You know, adapting is crucial to our survival. Who's making it, who's not making it are the people that have the ability to adapt to rapid change on a constant basis. And it's going to get more, it's going to go faster and faster, right? We know that, you know, 50 years ago, it was all about IQ and your ability to learn stuff and to become Einstein, right? And in the last 20 years, it's been about developing our emotional abilities that our parents, at least my parents, who are in their 80s, didn't have developed very well. You know, our emotional intelligence gives us the ability to go further in life by being more aware of ourselves, being more aware of others, how we impact others, how we deal with people, and how we make people help us, propel us through life. But today it's a whole different ballgame. It's about adapting to extremely rapid change, and sometimes, you know, in a very violent way, like the world has stopped, you know, on its axis. I mean, talk about ability to adapt to this situation. So I think those that are struggling are the ones that are not able to adapt, that don't have that muscle developed yet, and they're going to develop it really quickly, or they're not going to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my wife and I were on a walk too, real quick yesterday. I'm sure you're walking a lot as well, but we were talking about. It reminded me of the things that are happening right now, like trying to put a label on like if they're good or bad is not super healthy. It just is, right? It is
well,
what
it's
it
more
is.
than is. It's more than is. I don't know about you, but a lot of bad stuff that happened in my life turned out to be the most incredible things,
Yes.
and good things led to bad things. So the whole notion of good and bad needs to be thrown out the window, right? You don't know. You know, you miss your flight, you save your life. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know what can happen, and what, you know, the whole notion of good and bad, it needs to go out the window completely.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because we just kind of stumbled upon that yesterday, that so many people are attaching a label to this situation when, like you said, could be, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't be able to start this show and talk to so many amazing people and form deeper friendships and get content out there that may have changed my life and other people's. It's good to hear you
Well,
validate that.
it, it leads to the subject of a lot of people have a need for certainty. And I think good, bad, certainty, all those things go hand in hand, and being like water, it all, and adaptation, it all ties into each other. There is no certainty in life except what? Taxes and death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting a break on taxes right now.
Right
So
now that
we're down to one certainty in life.
yeah.
You know, the sooner you admit that to yourself, the sooner you embrace that uncertainty, that's when growth and magic happens, right?
Mm-hmm. So true, man. So true. Um, Last thing I want to talk to you about, I like to end the show as much as I can on this, is I know you're a grateful guy. I know the last 10 years since you had a successful exit, you've done a lot of work on yourself and making that list, you know, of what makes you happy. Um, are you grateful for any new things right now, or have you been reminded because you've had some additional time of what you are most grateful for in life?
Look, I'm very grateful right now through this, because this has been a stress test for everyone's life, right? Like a bank stress test. This is showing you, you know, basically being confined to your home with your loved ones. Um, Basically, this is your life, right? Everything outside is not your life. So a lot of people are realizing when this thing is over, you know, they're getting a divorce. They can't stand their spouse, or, you know, their life is horrible, or their job is uncertain. You know, there's something, their health is not good, you know. So for me, it's been great to take stock. You know, I love my house. I don't miss anything outside of these four walls. I'm with my favorite three people on earth. Um, I live in a beautiful place. I don't have to worry about this financial crisis as much as a lot of people do. So I'm beyond blessed, and for me not to be extremely grateful right now would be a major disaster. I have a lot
Yeah,
to be grateful for.
yeah, you do, and so many other people do as well. Even if their treasure, like we talked about pre-show, their treasure may be down, but they're abundant, and they can be abundant in good deeds. They can be abundant in their mindset, in their with their family. There's so many things to be grateful for right now, and so I really want to stress, especially what our listeners and viewers are seeing with Erik, is having a sense of identity that's outside of money, right? Like I'm certain, Erik, that you could lose all of your money and you would still be a wealthy person, because of all of everything that you love surrounding you has nothing to do with money.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. You know, I'm not known to be a hypocrite. I've been poor. I've been poor for a large portion of my life, and I know one thing is that it really sucks.
Yeah.
Uh, but I can also tell you that when I achieved all my dreams at the age of 40 that I had set for myself, I found a very miserable guy there. And it made me realize that I was lucky. I was lucky that I was able to reach my goals that I thought would make me happy, and realize that they didn't make me happy, and that I was a miserable dude. So that was the beginning of my journey. Realizing that I have everything, but yet I don't feel good, made me realize that it's an internal job. And that's been my pursuit for the last 10 years, is to work on the real stuff, the stuff inside, the stuff that you never lose, that you take with you and that you share with the rest of the world. So
Yeah, I love that, man. You saved the best for last. I'm gonna have to make sure that people only have 2 minutes to listen. Just skip to the very end. Hey man, I am gonna come see you in Miami again. You've always been very gracious in opening up your home to me and allowing me to look out the window there. Hopefully there will be a boat next time I see you.
There will be.
If not, I know there'll be paddle boards there. But I appreciate you spending some time with me. I'll catch up with you again soon.
All right, man. Keep up the good work. Thanks. Nice to see you.
You too. See ya.